Well, Rhiannon, just talking to James before, he was explaining how the pair of you have come up together through on licence and everything else, and now, you know, you're competing and doing everything else on a daily basis, but you can't escape him, can you?
No, literally. He's like an annoying little brother. And it's like me, we're on the phone about 20 times a day. So when he was ill a few weeks ago and he like didn't reply to Ant or me, and I knew he was unwell because we hadn't spoke for like 20 times, so yeah, I just can't seem to shake him.
He's on this Matchroom card as well now. So is it the first time you've actually been on the same bill?
No, for some.
I mean, as a pro?
No, my debut we were together, and then a few fights on Steve Wood's shows. But then we kind of, our last show together was September, and then I went on Matchroom in December, and then we're back together. So I'm hoping that he stays in the Matchroom shows, and then we get on the same shows together.
Yeah. Well, keep winning. That's kind of the way it goes, isn't it? And that's pretty much, is that the kind of deal you've got with Matchroom now? If you keep winning, or how does it all work? Was it a 5-fight deal? And yes. Yeah. So 5-fight deal. I think I've got the second one in.
Yeah, and I've got a few more 6-rounders and then a few 8-rounders, and then.
Mm-hmm. So that's a solid plan then, really, isn't it? I mean, in 5 fights, you can go a long way in 5 fights, can't you? I mean, let's face it, there are opportunities for female fighters. You can get there a bit quicker, can't you? The pools are not as deep. That you could be in a totally different world by then. Yeah,
well, that's what they were saying before the pandemic. So obviously that put a halt to everything. But no, because I think Ellie Scott, she fought for a WBA interim in like a 3rd or 4th fight.
Yeah, but she's fighting the girl that Ebony Bridges boxed for the world title this weekend.
Yeah.
So it just shows you, doesn't it?
Yeah, definitely.
That is a pretty solid plan then. You get these 6-rounders out the way, and then I suppose this time next year, you're looking at titles, aren't you?
Yeah, definitely. With the way women's boxing is, that's like the natural progression. So, you know, I've just got to keep on learning every fight, because obviously I didn't have the extensive amateur background that a lot of girls have. But, you know, I'm in the best hands with Ant because he's been there and done everything. And we've gone with Martin Cullen now for S&C, and he's been there and done it all as well. So I couldn't be in any better hands. So I've just got to listen and put everything into practice and just, you know, do it all.
It's an interesting setup because obviously you're here at Fox ABC, you do some of your training here, and then you go and do some training in Bolton with Joe Gallagher. We've seen you there obviously as well. So in some ways it's really good to have a small, tiny stable and just get all the attention off Ant, but then you go and mix it with the world champions up the road as well, don't you? So it's got a nice balance. Yeah,
because like I say it all the time. Training alongside Tash, I literally watch what she does on the bag because she's a southpaw as well, and then I'll just be like, that looks really good, and then I'll try and copy it. So, you know, I'm literally learning from the best, and I'm just really fortunate.
Know your story. It was a quite interesting one, obviously, with the pandemic as well. So just tell us a bit about the career with the NHS.
So I'm a hospital pharmacist. I went to uni for 5 years, did my pre-reg year, started pharmacy as... I think it was 2019, and then the pandemic hit. So everything changed in the way we were working, because obviously COVID, everything, like, you know, we've got new trial drugs and everything. So yeah, it's been crazy because, you know, you think you're doing that forever, and boxing was just a hobby for me. But then now everything's flipped on its head because I'm doing this full time and I'm locuming as a pharmacist, like in my spare time. And I, like, you know, 3 years ago when I got my degree, I never thought I'd be doing this. And I definitely don't think my mum and dad did either. And I don't think they're a bit happy about it. But yeah, you know, with the sponsors, it's enabled me to do that.
But you've always got that career to go back to as and when you're ready.
Yeah. You know, I keep up my registration. I've just got to do my CPDs, and you know, because I do enjoy pharmacy and I do really enjoy working on the wards and working with the doctors and nurses and caring for patients. But obviously I'm only young once and I can only do this once, and I didn't want to look back. I was speaking to one of my managers and she did say, you don't want to look back and always think, what if you did go for it? And you know, that's the position I'm in now. So I'm just going to give it everything I have for these young years of my life and then go back to it when I'm older.
What was it like during COVID when you're on those wards?
I was actually on a COVID ward. They put me, because loads of wards were shutting down and then like reopening, and they just put me here, there and everywhere because obviously certain people couldn't work on certain wards just due to the demographic. But it was a really challenging time because obviously at the beginning of the pandemic, we didn't really know what we were working with. And there was a lot of young people dying and, you know, they didn't know how to deal with that. So there were situations where family members were having to say bye to, patients were having to say bye to family members on FaceTime because we weren't allowing patients in, and they were like 30. So it was like a massive thing. And then, you know, obviously you had people who were going out during the pandemic when we were on lockdown, and obviously I was seeing both sides of it, so I was really cautious, and I didn't go and see my mum or dad or anything, or my nephew or my siblings. But yeah, I feel like working through that and being on the wards and seeing all stuff like that, like when I come to boxing, like it was a massive escape for me, and I really enjoyed that time. Like, you know, I was quite lucky because I was a professional boxer and I could do that, but obviously other people weren't and they couldn't. But obviously, you know, now everything's kind of back to normal-ish, and we do know what we're dealing with, and there's treatments and people are coming in and they're leaving, which is the most important thing.
It's not surprising, is it, that you can get prescribed boxing training sessions on the NHS now, because when you're dealing with stress or depression and things like that, it makes a lot of sense, doesn't it?
Yeah, definitely. Like even the other day, James was feeling down and he came to S&C and he was like, you know, I just love being around people. Like it's just lifted me up. I'm out of my mood now, and I can totally understand where he's coming from, because them times where like I'd have a horrible shift at work, and I was fortunate to have like a boxing bag in my garden at the time because I could still train. Like I would just have like a massive release of, you know, like built up like not anger, but just like stress. But yeah, I can totally understand. I think it's so important that people do exercise. I think, you know, in the beginning, like my mum was losing weight at the moment, she'll probably be annoyed that I'm mentioning it. But like when we used to first take her out for walks, she'd be like, fucking hell, I hate this. But now she's actually enjoying it. So it's hard to initially start, but once you start, you're just going to love it.
Well, you mentioned your mum there, but you're a sporty family, aren't you? So you've got two brothers?
I've got one brother and a brother-in-law.
That play rugby league?
That play rugby,
So
yeah.
where are they now at the minute?
So Andrew, my brother, is at Toulouse. I think they're in the Super League. I haven't been watching much rugby lately. And my brother-in-law is at Lee. But they were both at Toronto before it went bust and stuff
What's
like
your
that.
brother-in-law's name?
Joe Mellor.
Right, big family. Is he from Wigan?
Well, he's from Warrington, but he did play for Wigan.
Right, yeah. Okay. So that's is that the sporty genes then? Is that kind of runs through you? Were you sporty in other ways before you turned to beating people up?
I think we were always quite sporty. My dad did football when he was younger, and rugby, and then he kind of like put all of his attention into my brother to be like, you're going to be my protege. And me and my sister did dance, so we did dance from like a really young age. Like I started when I was like 2 until I was about 15. And then, you know, when you're 15, you go out on the park and get drunk and stuff like that. So I got a bit chubby and I started going to the gym. And then when I was about 20-ish, I was really chubby. And I was like, I saw Ronda Rousey on TV and I thought, oh my God, she's amazing. I'd love to be like that. And she said this quote like, all my muscles in my body serve a purpose. I'm not a do-nothing bitch. And I was like looking at it in the mirror like, you are a do-nothing bitch. So then I tried... I was going to do MMA, but then they said try boxing, so yeah.
There you are. And the folks right behind you?
Yeah. Initially, they were a bit like, you know, boxing is quite physical. But then I said, Andrew plays rugby, like that's worse. I tried rugby for like a week and it was horrible getting tackled and all the injuries. Yeah, that's worse than boxing. So they have no leg to stand on.
Fair enough. So Bilbao it is, this latest little excursion, and your opponent unbeaten. So
Yes.
You've had a little look at it. What's Anne said about her, and what have you kind of decided yourself?
Yeah, I think it's a really good fight. You know, with women, it's such a short time until you start getting these title fights, and I'm kind of like learning on the job as well, so I do need these fights. She's really come forward and aggressive, which I think will play into my hands, because I think, you know, I can lead her on to shots and stuff like that. And we're very confident, and it's a fight that I think's perfect for me at this time in my career as well.